In order to embed our conversation in our Google site, we need to first navigate to and open our Google Sites, most likely through our Charis School Gmail by clicking on the dots on the upper right-hand section of the page, clicking on Sites, finding the name of our teaching website, opening it up, and creating a new page in this website with the conversation embedded in it. The nice thing about the conversation software is that you can embed that same code into as many pages as you want. So if you have 5 classes of language acquisition, you can embed the same conversation into all 5. Remember that over on the conversations page, we copied the code from the bottom of the conversation editor. Now over in our website, we need to create a new page by clicking on the new page icon in the top right corner of our site. This will allow us to name our new page. I recommend you name it the same thing that you named the title of the conversation. You can use the web page template that it defaults to, that's fine. However, where it says select a location, I recommend you choose a different location. You open up and expand the home, and you select the class that it's going to go under. As you can see above here, this will now make the URL of this page home-class-casual conversation. After you have completed this step, click Create, and it will create that page for you. Now that you have this page created, we need to embed the conversation in it. In order to do that, we come up to the Insert menu, and we click on More Gadgets. This will take us to the gadget search page. On this page, click on Featured, and in the Search Gadgets bar, type in the word Embed and search. The first result in the list should be the Embed gadget. Click on that and click on Select. It will bring you to this page here. The embedding snippet is the code that you copied from the Conversations website. Clicking in this box so you see the cursor, you can then simply paste that code in here. For the display down below, I recommend you change the width to 100%, not pixels, but percent, and the height to 600 pixels. Clicking OK will then load the gadget into your web page, and clicking the Save button in the top right corner will close out the editing function, and you will now see your conversation loaded into your website. Anytime this Adobe prompt pops up, you always want to click Allow to allow the camera and microphone access on your computer. You have now created this extra web page, and you have embedded the conversation in it. However, we now need to add this website to the navigation on your Google site. In order to do that, we come up here and click More, and we click Edit Site Layout. This will load the site layout editing functions. We then want to mouse over the sidebar so we see the navigation option. We want to click on that. That will bring us to this page here. We now need to add a page to our sidebar navigation by clicking on Add Page, and this will load our choices of pages. We now return back to where we originally put that page under Class 1, Casual Conversation. We highlight that so that it appears in this faint yellow, and we click on OK. Doing that will add this page to the bottom of our navigation list. We highlight it in blue, or it's already highlighted in blue because it's the page we're looking at, and we now need to move it to where we want it within our sidebar navigation. In order to do that, we simply use the arrow functions on the side here. So we click up, we'll move it up through our potential pages, and we want it underneath Class 1, and we want it one over to the right so that it is a subpage. Again, we click the arrows up till it's in between Class 1 and 2, and we click the right arrow once to move it over once to make it a subpage. Once we have it right where we want it, we click OK. This takes us back to our website navigator. You can now see this conversation loaded underneath Class 1, and we click Close. We now have this conversation loaded in the correct place underneath Class 1. So if I were to return to my home page on my website now, I would see my classes here, and if I clicked the caret next to class 1 and clicked the casual conversation page, it would now load my conversation on my website. This is what this conversation will look like when students go to your website. Students do not need an account with Conversations or any login information other than their name. In order to access the conversation that you have created, they simply type in their name in the name box and click Login. Once a student has logged in with their name, they are loaded into the conversation. The conversation will begin as soon as they click the real-time button on the left. That will load the first question that you recorded in your conversation. As soon as your question is done being asked, the software will begin recording their response. I highly recommend you practice this with students before the actual summative assessment so that they are familiar with how the software works and the fact that they will begin being recorded as soon as your question is done being asked. To show you what it looks a little something like this. They click real time and your question is asked. Please tell us your name and where you are from. As soon as it's done, they are being recorded. I am being recorded right now. My name is Johnny J, and I am from Mars. When they're done with their response, they click Stop Recording to go to the next question that you have made. Please tell us the favorite place you have visited in the world. My most favorite place that I have visited in the world is Las Vegas. Please tell us what you would like to be when you grow up. When I grow up, I would like to be an earthworm. And they click Stop Recording. This will then finish their recording. They are done now, and they will click the green Submit arrow, which will submit their responses back online to the conversation software. They will get this message, and if they click Home, it will simply take them back to the very first page here. You now, as a teacher, with your teacher dashboard on the conversation software, have those students' responses logged. Again, on the left side of the screen, clicking on the eyeball icon brings up responses from students with a listing of their names. We can see that we only have one response right now, and that is from Johnny J. If you had more responses, all of the students' names would be listed here. Clicking on that student loads their conversation. You can play back the entire conversation, which would be your questions and answers, or you can click Play Responses Only to simply hear the student's side of the conversation. As soon as it's done, they are being recorded. I am being recorded right now. My name is John. You may have noticed that the video did not load of the student responding. We have noticed that this is sometimes a common glitch in the conversation software, yet it has a very easy fix. If you do this and the video does not load and you want to see the video, simply click the Stop button, re-click the student's name, and hit Play Responses Only again. As soon as it's done, they are being recorded. I am being recorded right now. My name is Johnny J, and I am from Mars. When they're done with their response, they click Stop Recording to go to the next question that you have made. My most favorite place that I have visited in the world is Las Vegas. When I grow up, I would like to be an earthworm. And they click Stop Recording. So you can see all of their responses are recorded, and once again, if the video does not load immediately, simply click Stop, re-click on the student's name, click Play Responses Only, and it will load again. And that is how to use Conversations and your Google site in order to record student conversations. And while I still have your attention, one classroom management tip when it comes to conversation software. If you are delivering the software in class, make sure that you are monitoring students while they are recording their answers. If a student types in their login name and they log in, when they get to this screen here, they can play back their answers when they're done. They can play back their responses only. And if they're not happy with either of these things, they can simply hit cancel, and it will cancel and delete their responses. They can log right back in with the same name, and start again by clicking real time. Unfortunately, this is an unavoidable feature of the Conversations software. Therefore, if you are using this software for some kind of summative or final assessment, make sure that you or somebody else is able to monitor the students to make sure that they simply don't stop and cancel and go back. Another alternative is to add in time limits for responses or general time limits for the assessment. So if you know how long your questions are and you have a set time for how long students can respond to, then they might not even have the time to go back. You might even want to make them aware of this feature, but also make them aware of the time constraints so that they know that they cannot use this feature when they're recording their conversation. In the Conversations tab, there is a time limit for response in seconds. You can leave that blank, or you can enter in something like 15 or 20 seconds to give them a time limit. However, I think it's more effective just time the overall assessment and make sure that there's not enough time for them to go back and delete and re-record their responses.